Hey folks, this is Paul from Easy Acres Off-Grid Homestead, and I genuinely hope you all have been well out there since the last time I checked in with you. You know, that warm sun sure feels nice after the freeze and frost of winter and before summer's heat really sets in. With both my winter beds still producing and my spring cool weather garden going, they're putting greens out about as fast as I can eat them. If you ask me, slow spring mornings casually tending the garden is what the off-grid lifestyle is all about. It's especially rewarding to have fresh, nutritious food to show for it. For those of you that experience random surprise frosts and even snow well into spring, I have some tips and tricks I'm excited to share with you that may help you overcome some of those challenges. And I'm in a high elevation, relatively arid environment, entirely off-grid, but even I've been successful in growing food on my little homestead. So stay tuned to the end of the video for a tour of the garden from approximately mid-spring, and I even opened some viewer mail on camera for y'all. So why don't y'all stick around and let me show you a bit of what I've been up to this spring here at Easy Acres Off-Grid Homestead. Oh gosh, I need to brush you. Oh, I need to brush you. This bed's doing rather well. I've got charred spinach, mizuna, and some radish growing in here. Planted this, I think, in February. So a couple months ago. The mizuna is not doing so well. I got a couple plants here, but for the most part, something's been eating it almost as soon as it pops up. I'm not sure what. Oh my gosh, I need to brush you. I don't know about y'all, but I'd much rather spend my mornings casually picking plants for my garden than going to the grocery store any day. This here bed's been feeding me really well all winter, and I even have some volunteer Claytonia plants well established in this bed. Claytonia is nice because the flowers are edible as well. The whole thing after you wash it. It's perfect. You know, I know a lot of folks don't think much of salads or view them as kind of insubstantial as food, but when I see a lot of the salads people prepare, it's no wonder to me when it's just iceberg lettuce and a ton of dressing. It really helps to have a lot of herbs in there, some really flavorful, interesting textures. It'll really up your kind of game when it comes to eating these greens, and they're very easy to grow. I'm going to keep these open today. Hopefully we'll get some rain. They say there might be a thunderstorm, and that would be real nice. One thing that I certainly miss about the South, where I've lived a significant portion of my life, is, you know, a nice thunderstorm. We don't get them very much here in the Pacific Northwest. Huh? Hey, get out of there. Well, as it turns out, it was rain and snow, and it's a good thing I had a means of protecting my newly planted bed to protect it from that snow. Spring's definitely an unpredictable time of year, and we get some temperamental weather up here on the mountain. We got some frosts that linger long and arrive early and make my growing season rather short and gardening a challenge. And you know, certainly while most every day is spent at least a little bit in the garden, with the weather warming up and being a little bit more agreeable to working outside, I wanted a nice stout table I could use as a workbench, and wouldn't you know it, I could probably carve out a couple days to knock one out for myself. I just kind of dove into the project with a kind of vague idea of what I wanted without any kind of plan. I'm not even sure if I ever measured anything, just cut what I needed and knocked it all together. You know, even something as minor as taking a few days to make yourself a table, if you take a step back and consider that, you know, I saw the need for it and took the time to make it, there's many ways that we can all practice self-reliance. I had a commenter mention that they were older and retired and wish they could lead this sort of lifestyle, but I think anyone in almost any situation can practice self-reliance no matter where you are. I find I learn best by doing. Can't overlook the daily stuff, and I have quail, and one of the benefits to birds is the manure and the waste that they provide for the compost heap. Droppings, feathers, nesting straw, it all gets raked up and collected and put into the compost to generate more food for the homestead after it's aged a little bit. All that quail waste and, you know, even their spilled food and the sand that they kick out of their little Yeah, you need to give them a sand bowl or dish or something, because they like to give themselves dust baths. But even that is real good in my compost heap, just to give profile to the compost. Nice sunny day like this, I'm going to move the girls out to their quail tractor in the garden so they can enjoy some sunshine. All right. Woo, we're getting that strong sunlight that we're famous for in this area, up at the high elevation, you know, and generally clear skies in the summertime, so got a lot of clouds moving in though, but yeah, makes me start thinking about wildfire, which is my kind of single greatest fear. Last summer we had one that came within a couple miles of my property. I had ash and embers just raining down for weeks afterwards. So that's why earlier in the wintertime I went through a lot of effort to remove a lot of the horizontal potential fire ladder, dead branches off the juniper trees in the area. You know, just as a mitigation effort, but also it was really fun. I got to make some wattle gardens out of them, so yeah, and they're doing okay, so yeah, everything's going all right. Okay, it's getting too hot to work. Midday mocha. Time to go hang out in the shade. The wildflowers in my part of the world certainly are something special. I love how these sand lilies will cover a whole hillside, but you know, really only for a week or so, and then they're gone. Most of the desert wildflowers are only around briefly, but it doesn't inhibit my enjoyment or appreciation for them while they are here. I have this pretty little mule's ear growing at the edge of my wildflower garden. It's a wild relative of the sunflower, and I'd love to establish more in this area. These are one of my gooseberry bushes, and they're putting out tons of little flowers and making me really hopeful for a good harvest if I can beat the birds to them. Anywhere where the arnica blooms like this is a good place for a break on a hot day. You know, basic first aid and wound care is a 10-level skill that I think every homesteader should have a working understanding of. I might be a bit ahead in this department, as I was a United States Army combat medic and an EMT for the better part of a decade, and it was my honor to have seen and treated thousands of wounds, ranging from everyday splinters to traumatic battlefield amputations. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, they say, and it's very, very true. Especially when axes, hatchets, knives, saws, all that are part and parcel of your daily life, it's really easy to become complacent, and when you become complacent, that's when accidents happen. I was cutting some grass by the edge of my garden this morning, and not paying attention with the little hand scythe, I sent it into the front of my thumb. Wonderful. I could almost make it a puppet. There we go. Bleeding's kind of stopped. Wounds approximating well. I mean, the edges are meeting up well. Ugh, it's just awful placement to be right on the tip of my thumb like that. I want to redo this little first aid kit. Set up like a knife vac, like a military style first aid kit, but yeah, I'll be real with you, it's kind of cheap. Oh, this goes around the front. Yeah. You know, just going by my experience and the modes of industry that are available to the average homesteader, I think I'm going to be making myself a better homesteader first aid kit in the near future, and I wonder if y'all would be interested in a video on that. If you would be, let me know in the comments, and if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss it. You know, one thing that just about every off-grid creator that I have ever seen overlooks is they do not address how these rural roads eat your vehicles. Learn how to do your own wheel bearings, learn how to do your own ball joints, and it's better to do it at home where you have access to tools and everything you need than rather at the side of a dirt road. That's how I learned. I can't hear very well, but even I can hear that. It's not what you want your bearings to sound like. Ooh. Junk. Please take note of the log that I put under the frame of my truck before working on it, as I'm not about to trust my life to a Harbor Freight floor jack miles away from cell phone reception. Not a good idea. A couple valleys away from my property is a beautiful little lake and a free campground where I spent the better part of a week camped out, just canoeing and fishing. In my winter update, I did mention that I wanted to get out and take advantage of the natural bounty in my area, and this was a great trip. I might actually make it an annual kind of pilgrimage. As you can see, I brought the whole Easy crew out there with me, and we pretty much had the lake to ourselves most of the time that we were out there. It was absolutely beautiful water, and every day I caught stringers of crappie, perch, catfish, some of the best eating freshwater fish in North America. I've done a lot of fishing out of kayaks, but now that I have a dog, I had to switch to a canoe. And maneuvering with the dog takes some skill, especially when she's antsy. Okay. Excuse me, miss. Please step aside. Please step aside, miss. Please step aside. Oh. Good girl. You know, these fish fry up nicely with firm, flaky flesh. I didn't get satisfactory results attempting to smoke them. I might have better results with herring and shad, oily fish that are, traditionally better for smoking and eventually canning for long-term storage. Fresh fried fish next to a campfire out under the stars. There's few things finer, if you ask me. Alright guys, just want to take a moment to show you some of the things I got in the mail recently. One of the things that I did get in the mail was this book, Sepp Holzer's Permaculture, Practical Guide to Small-Scale Integrative Farming and Gardening. I talk about permaculture quite a bit when I'm talking about my garden and everything. That may warrant some further explanation. So permaculture might need a little explanation for a lot of folks. Permaculture is generally a smaller scale kind of approach to agriculture, and it tends to be more holistically focused, so it tends to look at the entire system. So permaculture is kind of something that a lot of the agriculture that I practice tends to adopt a lot of permacultural concepts. So I'm really looking forward to reading this book. I have heard about it through the Permies forum years and years and years ago. I believe that this gentleman is German. Let's see. Austrian, yeah. And yeah, so looking forward to giving this book a look. Second thing I got in the mail. This is kind of funny. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, I'm at Easy Acres Homestead, and I post a lot of daily stuff that I do there. So if you want to see what I'm doing on a more day-to-day sort of basis, that's a good place to check out. Recently, well, a couple months ago, it was during the wintertime, my cat was attacked by something, and he came home, he was a little hurt, and I gave him a bit of tuna fish. I had a can of tuna. And so, gave him that as a treat, just to say, sorry that something got you. And then later that night, something came back and tried to get into my quail hutch, and I ran outside to see what it was, and I ended up stepping on the same tuna can that I had given my cat earlier after my dog had chewed it up and cut my foot open pretty good. And I posted that story on my Instagram. So I got this gift in the mail, and it came with this really funny note. Let's see. All right, thanks for keeping a life safe that most find insignificant. You're very welcome. No more shark cans for you to step on. Now you can reuse the cans for storage. They didn't have Easy Acres Pink, LOL. So, what did I get? I got a strong can opener. Ultra sharp, safe and hygienic, easy to use, robust and durable for everyday use. Stores easily in drawers, non-slipped rubberized handle. Alright, those are all good things. Let's take a look. Oh, okay. Huh. We'll have to give this a test drive here in a minute. Alright. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the gift. I promise it'll get put to use. The can opener that I have is kind of on its last legs, so awesome. Really appreciate it. Last thing that I got here, kind of interesting. So I'll open it up and show you guys. I haven't opened it yet, but I've seen similar concepts to this before. It's a backpacking stove. Okay, looks like there's some plastic to get rid of, but yeah, very cool. I like these little stoves. I have one that I use around here quite a bit, and it's powered by any kind of organic material that you have laying around, sticks, pine cones, that sort of thing. And it fits perfectly, nests perfectly inside of an MSR 750 pot, so I love that little stove. But I'm going to have to give this one a shot. It actually, the metal on it feels pretty substantial. I'm surprised about that. A lot of the stuff from Amazon feels fairly cheap and thin, but that feels rather robust. So came with a note. It says, "Hello, fellow Army veteran." Hello. "This should help you save on your propane use. From the 10th CHS, that's Combat Support Hospital at Walter Reed Veteran." Thank you very much for your service. Never spent any time at Walter Reed. I did do my clinical rotations in the burn unit at Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio. Saw some crazy stuff there, but got some excellent training too. Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate that, and thank you again for your service and the good work that you did out at Walter Reed. I was an Army medic myself. I absolutely loved being an Army medic. Probably the only job I'd ever do in the military, but it was wonderful for me. Anyways, thanks very much, guys. I really appreciate it. If you're wanting to send me something, send me a DM, send me a private message. I'll supply you with my P.O. box. I don't remember supplying these folks my P.O. box, so it's pretty easy to find if you look, I guess. But guys, I don't need much. I really don't. I get offers to, you know, people want to donate money and stuff a lot, but, you know, really I don't need a whole lot. So I genuinely do appreciate it, though, very much, from the bottom of my heart. Thanks very much, guys. You know, cheap land is cheap for a reason, and my reason is water. We only get about 15 inches of rain and snow per year, compared to Tucson, Arizona, which is blessed with a bit less at 12 inches, making water one of my most pressing concerns as spring rolls on and approaches summer. My storage capacity is more than double last year, but I'm also growing much more food this year over last. I have plans this summer and fall to be continually improving my collection and more storage capacity before the winter rains fall, and I have some new ideas that I think will be good to implement to make the most out of the water that I do have. Oh, dang, looks like cutworms again. Get it right at the base. Dang it. And those very same cutworms got one of my pea plants the other day. Snipped it right here at the base. These guys are going to need some water here shortly. So to prevent that on some of my other plants, I've made these collars out of some scrap PVC, and I think the smooth sides will keep pests from getting at it, and allows me to put some heavy mulch down here at the bottom to retain moisture. In a lot of plants, when you put that mulch right up at the base, it gives cutworms and other pests a place to hide right next to your plant. So I think having that exposed gives you the benefit of still being able to use your heavy mulch techniques to retain water, but, you know, not endanger your plants so much. Cutworms really tear apart the garden sometimes. I have that clear plastic back there, and it's just a quick way to cover up in case we get a frost. We are in about the middle of May, and we are still susceptible to evening frost. We've had them for a couple evenings in a row here, so throw that over you know, these little seedlings to keep them safe from the frost. And my cold frames, I will close those up at night. Everything else that's exposed tends to be pretty cold hardy, pretty cold resistant. like my peas back here. I've had peas this size, and then we've had like 3 inches of snowfall, and the peas will grow right up in it. They don't care. I got a couple little comfrey plants growing. These are from some of the roots I've been dividing last winter. I think this is some kind of dock or sorrel. I can't remember, but it's really good. It tastes kind of like sheep sorrel. It's got like that nice tart to it. I want some more. Very good. It's my wattle garden. We are looking at the east facing side of it, and I think those rocks really benefit it, especially in the early spring, late winter. They catch the sun in the morning and warm up that bed. Empty feed bags and plastic on top, just kind of weighed down to, you know, just act as a impermeable kind of mulch to keep the soil nice and cool. My other comfrey plants, this one's doing amazing. And look at that, on the south facing side of the wattle garden, got lots of clover growing. I have some sunchokes growing. I've got a couple little places where I've got sunchokes in the ground. They are one of the easiest crops to grow here that I have found. This is one of my pea trellises, but I think squirrels got all of the seedlings as they came up. I would see 1 or 2, and then the next day they would be gone. Probably too close to the brush over here. But I think I'm going to plant some beans there, some pole beans, and see how they do with that trellis. Still need to work on my main garden area over here, but I still have a few weeks to do it. But up here on the south end of it, I've got some garlic growing. Some more of my wattle beds. I think this one, for now, I'm just going to do some wildflowers in there. I've got some milkweed planted in it. I'm hoping to get some pollinators coming in to visit. And this is my larger sunchoke bed, and you can see them starting to come up real nicely. I need to trim some of those dead limbs. They're shading out my solar panels, but those aren't even operational just yet. And hopefully, removing those dead branches will avoid having the birds hang out right above my panels and pooping on them all the time. So my large wattle bed over here, this one is going to be for potatoes. Oh, look at that. Some of this feeder hay starting to sprout, which, to be honest with you, I do not mind a bit, because before I plant the potatoes, I'm going to turn that into the soil. It's going to be some good nutrients, some, you know, good nitrogen. This feeder hay has been sitting here since the winter time. These beds are from the large pine tree that I had growing out back there that blew down in the winter time. And the wood was a little punky to build with, so I decided to just use it for borders for some of my garden beds. I'd never done that before, so what I decided to do was just kind of split them into quarters, and you know, they turned into some reasonably nice beds. Nothing planted in this one just yet. I'm not exactly sure what's going to go in there, but in this one I got some sunchokes, and I believe I have some milkweed as well. I want to get them pollinators in here. Would you look at that big, I believe this is an antelope bush. Flowers are so fragrant right now too. And as you can see, I got a couple around my property and they're blooming real nice. This is my herb garden. It keeps getting eaten, but this here is sage, and it's growing amazing. It gets eaten back by the rabbits, you know, pretty good, and it bounces back really, really well. Over here are some sunflowers. The idea is as the spring rolls into summer, those sunflowers are going to grow nice and tall and provide a little bit of shade for my herb garden over here, because The solar intensity in this part of the world is very, very, very strong in the summertime. It will desiccate the soil, just draw out all the moisture. That comfrey plant was one of the first that I planted when I moved to the property. I am curious what's been eating at it. Aha! There we go. Like I was saying, there's those cutworms I was talking about. You may not have seen them when I started flicking stuff, but here is one. Where'd the other guy go? Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. Look at that. Dang it. Oh yeah. Well, nothing personal, but I'm gonna, there you go. Nothing personal, but I'm gonna pop them in the quail pen and, you know, just see how they like it in there. But yeah, these sunflowers hopefully are gonna provide some nice shade for my herb garden as summertime hits. And over here is another wildflower garden. This one's actually happens to be a hugelkultur garden as well. I dug down a few feet, lined the bottom with rotten logs, and then built that kind of stone wall. And I believe most of that stone just came from me digging down. What you see planted there around the edges, for the most part, that is native sunflowers, I believe. I have some bachelor's buttons and California poppy going in here, all kinds of stuff. Quail are not in the, they're not in their tractor today. I've got some errands to run, so I don't like to leave them alone in there. You know, simply because it's, I mean, it's just chicken wire. If something wanted to get in there, it'd be pretty easy, and it's on the ground level. I will feel a lot better about it once I get this garden area completely closed off, but I haven't built the gates just yet. But speaking of the quail, what do you think? I think they'll like this snack here. Why, hello. How we doing? I got something for y'all. Yep. That's how it be sometimes. Nothing personal. So there you have it. That's kind of the spring of 2024 update. I feel like I'm spinning plates all the time here. Just about to come into early summer. All right, I'm excited. That's when the garden's really going to start kicking off. Right now we're still prone to frost and everything. That'll come to an end shortly, and I will be dealing with lack of water more than anything, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so, or not. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if you do, you'll get to see all that. Anyway, Paul from Easy Acres Homestead. Thanks so much for watching. Y'all take care, be well, and be easy.